Hi everyone, and welcome to episode 3 of Draw With Me, the series where I answer different questions related to the art industry and have one of my speed arts playing in the background. Today's topic is something near and dear to my heart, but before I get into that, I first want to talk about the drawing time-lapse that you're looking at right now. This is a drawing I made in Adobe Fresco back in February of this year. It features two of my OCs, Luna, the pink dog by the pool, and Comet, the blue dog behind her. When I created Luna and Comet, I designed them to be teenagers or young adults, and I think they are slightly more than friends. In the future, I want to draw out more of their story and how they met, but I'll leave it there for now. This drawing is my favorite line art piece that I have ever made. I love the quality, the shading, the color contrast, the sky, and you will see all of what I'm referring to by the end of this video. I am so excited for that. But speaking of line art, today's topic is lineless art versus line art. Which do I prefer? Which is easier to do? And which one should you do? I'll go through all of these and more. Let's start with something simple. What is the difference between lineless art and line art? It's pretty easy. Line art has an outline drawn around each object, whereas lineless art does not have any outlines drawn. This piece is an example of line art, and you can see it pretty clearly in the drawing process. When I digitally trace over my sketch, I draw the outlines of everything in the image, and the outlines are always darker than the object itself. I'll show you some examples on the screen of what lineless art looks like, where you don't see outlines drawn at all. You can also get pretty excited because these are drawings that I will be making future Draw With Me episodes about very soon, so stay tuned. Which do I prefer to look at and draw? Lineless art or line art? When I'm working on a smaller canvas size and a lower resolution, lineless art is easier on the eyes for me. When you have outlines and a lower screen quality, it's easy to see the individual pixels on the outlines, so that's why I like looking at lineless art more. When you have a high resolution like this drawing, it's easier to do line art. The process is really simple. All you have to do is trace over the sketch, clean up the outlines, and then fill in the colors and shade from there. Lineless art is harder to make because each object is drawn freely, so the edges aren't as clean. However, in the end, I like the look of lineless art better, and that's just my opinion. Now let's talk about some of the pros and cons of both. Pros of line art are that it makes the drawing process much more structured, it's nice to look at in high resolutions, and the outlines can either be solid black or just a darker shade of the object it surrounds. That's the way I do it. Some cons of line art are that it requires 2 times the amount of layers. You have to have one layer for the object and another layer for its outline. Then you have to do shading for each one instead of being able to do it all at once. So while the process is more structured, it can take way longer. And if you're working in an app like Procreate that limits the amount of layers you can use, then you might run out of layers if you do line art. I made this piece in Adobe Fresco, which doesn't limit the amount of layers you can have, but it starts to crash when you have a lot of them. I would have had half the amount of layers if I did lineless art. Now let's move on to lineless art. Pros of lineless art are that you can more easily see the textures of the objects, it's nicer to look at in lower resolutions and smaller canvas sizes, and I like how lineless art can sometimes look like it's part of a claymation. That's really why I prefer it to line art. Some cons of lineless art are that you have to be much more precise with the edges of each object, which can be difficult in the early stages of a drawing. Another con is that in high resolutions, you can see more of the imperfections of lineless art than in line art. So if you have a bigger canvas size or a lot of pixels, the editing stage of drawing can take quite a while. The reason I like this drawing so much is because of how crisp it looks. The resolution is 8,192 pixels by 6,144 pixels. That is super high and way better quality than anything I could get in Procreate. But Adobe Fresco's app crashes really started to frustrate me towards the end. Anyways, this drawing is the debut of Luna and Comet. I think they're pretty cool OCs. Comet is more laid back, loves to go with the flow, likes outer space, hence his name, and also thrives off of adventures. Luna loves nature and astrology, hence her name. She enjoys being outdoors, and having Comet tag along makes her extra happy. But that's pretty much all I wanted to say. To recap, lineless art is better for you if you work on a smaller canvas size or lower resolution, and if you don't want to use as many layers in your artwork. Line art is better if you like a clean and crisp look, have enough layers to do it in, and don't mind the art process taking a little bit longer. So which do you prefer? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to have a further discussion about it and learn what you like to do in your artwork. In the description, you will see the links to my social media as well as my commission form if you'd like to commission me. Follow me on Instagram and Kara, and I will see you in the next episode of Draw With Me. Have a wonderful day.